Discover 4 unique highlights across my vintage comic collection. First, explore the thrilling new graphic novels I read right here today. Second, join me uncovering rare vintage finds and hidden gems during massive weekend comic book hauls. Finally, browse through countless organized comic boxes and admire colorful issues displayed beautifully on classic spinner racks. Subscribe today and share your favorite classic comic book memories in the comments below.
Hello, everybody. It's me again, Lady Pop Hunter here. And today I am doing my next installment of What Am I Reading for the month of August. And for the month of August, I'm reading the DC Manhunter. Um, DC Manhunter came out in 1988 through 1990, and it had 24 issues. It follows the main character, Mark Shaw. Mark Shaw started off as a lawyer, you know, prosecuting criminals, but he saw that the justice system was not keeping these people in prison. They were getting set free. There was a glitch in the system, a red tape, loopholes, all of this. And he really just got fed up with it. So much so that he joins a group called the Manhunters. And the Manhunters were an organization and founded by the Guardians of the Universe. So while Mark is in there, he figures out that he's being manipulated and he's being used. And the Manhunters are trying to get him to assist in assassinating the leaders of the Guardians of the Universe. So he finds this out and he ends up killing their leader. And he comes back as the privateer. But then he goes to prison because again, he murders someone, he goes to prison. While he's in prison, he joins up with the suicide squad. He meets up with them, they help him get out of prison, and then he kind of rebrands himself. He's the Manhunter again, but he changes his costume so that he can separate himself from the other Manhunters, and he becomes a bounty hunter, a hired bounty hunter. Now, the first few books, number 1 and 2, that story was fine. After he became a bounty hunter, it kind of went off. No, I don't want to say went off the rails, but it just wasn't as good. And honestly, I didn't finish it. I got up to book number 9. So this is what he looks like. Let me move this out of the way. This is the Manhunter, what he looks like. He dons this outfit. He's not like other superheroes where he's costumed and no one knows who he is. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody know that he is Mark Hunter. Mark Shaw, the Manhunter. And because of this, and it really helps you to understand and realize why the other superheroes mask themselves, and they've said it, they mask themselves to protect their family because his family was actually attacked and they were held hostage and they were about to get murdered because there was a group of people, an organization that was after him. And he had a bounty on his head. Mark Shaw had a bounty on his head. So they kidnapped his family and was going to kill his family. But of course, he got out of that. He worked himself out of that, and his family is safe. So he's going on doing his stuff. But the guy that had the bounty on him, wouldn't let it go. So he's out of the way for now, but he's going to come back later. Um, Again, I didn't care for the character in general, the Mark Shaw character, just his behavior and attitude. There was an interesting story, and it sounds familiar, and I think I read it in another comic. It's this lady. She was a socialite in the 20s, I think it said, and she kind of disappeared from society. She was everywhere. She was a socialite. She was always on the red carpet. She was always going out with this celebrity and that celebrity. She was also always in the newspaper in the lifestyle section. And then all of a sudden, one day, she just disappears. Um, she builds this castle on top of a hill, and now she's a recluse. She never comes out. So come to find out, she's the one that put the bounty on Mark Shaw's head because she collects masks and she wants his mask. And as the story develops, I don't want to give it away in case somebody wants to read it. She's not who she seems to be. She's somebody totally different. And it throws you this huge twist because once you meet her, and you see what's going on, you think you kind of got something figured out and you know which way this is going, and it's not going that way. It's something totally different. So, again, I don't really want to give it away in case somebody wants to read it. I don't want to ruin it for you. But that story actually was good because it threw you for a loop there and you wasn't really expecting that outcome. He also met the Flash, Wally Wood Flash. That story was kind of lame. Didn't really care for that story. Um, didn't really care for the Flash in that story either. I'm not going to ruin it, but um, the Flash's mother hires Mark Shaw to go and rescue the Flash. Because and she made up this story. Come to find out that the story is a lie. It just got crazy. A lot of the stories in here are weird, but it did have one character. Um, it's this lady. She shows up twice. There's some things going on. Mark Shaw uses this police officer, and it's this lady. She comes around. Um, and she's a computer hacker. Come to find out, she kidnaps and molests kids. And that becomes exposed through the story. Because the story at first wasn't focused on her, but that comes out in the story. And by the end of the story, she gets away because she's a master of disguise and aliases and stuff like that. So she gets away. So a few issues go by, and Mark Shaw finds her because he needs a hacker to assist him in his new bounty. And he solicits this woman's help, and she's like, why should I help you? You know who I am, you know what I do, you're going to have me arrested. And he's like, no, I'm not going to arrest you. So you help me with this, I'll catch my man, and I'll leave you, I won't do anything. So she helps him. He catches his man. They meet up at the end of the story, and she was like, okay, so you're going to just let me walk out of the door. You're not going to do anything. He's like, no, I'm not going to arrest you. And then you're sitting there like, are you serious? But you know something's going to happen. So she opens up the door, and the place is surrounded by police. And she was like, I thought you weren't going to arrest me. He's like, I'm not going to arrest you. They are. So it was that kind of thing. But it was interesting that they went that route. I mean, she kidnaps kids, she sells them into sex trafficking, and she's a child molester. They bring all of that out. So that story, is like, okay. But the rest of them, like I said, his attitude, the other stories, they were kind of hit and miss. Another thing that I didn't like is when they drew his character, it always looked different. He never looked the same. It's always like he didn't look like that in the last issue. So that was kind of annoying. But that's what I'm reading. I am not going to finish it. It's just, it doesn't catch me. It's not interesting enough to make me want to read it. Like I said, there were some interesting stories in there. They had a couple of characters that I was like, oh, okay. But it wasn't continuous enough to say, oh, I want to finish seeing what happened, or the rest of the stories weren't interesting enough to make me want to keep reading. His character wasn't interesting enough for me to keep wanting to read it and to know more about him. Um, and what he was doing just wasn't interesting enough for me to say, yeah, I want to keep reading this book. So I'm not going to say I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe it's a book for somebody else, just not me. I hate saying that because I know the time and effort it takes to that's put into creating these characters and these stories and these places, but I just wasn't feeling that one. So I'll start another book and I'll have that for you in the month of September. Hopefully, I'll be able to start my Morbius. If not, I will start something else, something hopefully a lot better than this one that I can bring you in, truly recommend it and say, hey, this is a must read. So, again, the book that I read for the month of August 2026 was DC Manhunter. Have you read that comic? If so, what do you think? And I looked it up because I wanted to verify the years it came out in the issue numbers, and it sounds like the book is still going on. And then when they got to volume 2, there was a new Manhunter by a different name. So and when I looked it up, the present Manhunter is a female. So it's a continuous story. So it's still going on. Hopefully it got better. But this one, I just couldn't get into it. So again, did you read the book? If you did, how did you feel about it? Was it something that you say, yeah, I had a different perspective or a different experience on it, try it again, or get to this issue right here, these 3, 4 issues, and you'll just really have a blast, something like that? Let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I just want to say thank you as always for taking the time out of your schedule and watching. I truly appreciate it. And until next time, continue reading those comics.